taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Augmented Reality podcast for August 18th, 2020. This is your source for news, leaks, and insights and analysis about games in the gaming industry. My name is Ash. I'm here as always with that disembodied AI who knows the things, Cybsidian. We've also got artist and social media darling Moontag with us again, newest member of the team. Welcome, both of you, and yeah, we'll get to the show today. How are you both doing today, by the way?
Well, it was a lot less hot today than before, and thankfully we did not have to work on rocket engines. So yay!
Yes.
I'll count that as a win.
Absolutely. I see a lot of our regulars in the live chat. Welcome to you all. Please do post your comments and questions in the live chat, or just say hello, chat with each other, whatever you want to do as we go through the podcast today. And we'll respond, and we'll read and respond to as many of your chat messages as we can. Can't get to them all, obviously, but yeah, we'll do that as much as we can. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us in YouTube that you appreciate this content. Okay. Lots of Baldur's Gate 3
in the chat here. Shua, no, those are not the rocket engines to take us to Mars. They're the rocket engines that blow things up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yes. Hi there, YouTube. How's it going? I bet the algorithm's going to have a lot of fun with that one. Okay, so yeah, so lots of Baldur's Gate 3 news to go through today. The panel from Hell took place yesterday. I'd completely forgotten it was even happening, and so yeah, that caught me by surprise. But it's awesome to have that to talk about in in a week when there's not a lot of other big news, not a lot of Cyberpunk news. There's a couple things we can talk about with Cyberpunk, but also some news with the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which is just a mouthful of a game title.
There's also a little bit of EA news that we'll quickly cover too.
Should we just do that right off the bat and get it out of the way?
Sure, why not?
So there's a class action lawsuit in California against EA for potentially violating the state's gambling laws.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got on that side?
EA is scared, not because of this particular one, but because this is just a growing chorus of people that are making calls to force them to stop something that they've spent the last 10 years pouring every dime into. They have put more money into learning how to take advantage of people who have certain addictions to certain gambling-like things to make them play games and play more games and play more games and be obsessed with playing games and be obsessed with buying up certain things within the games that give you a small chance percentage at getting other things from things. This is the death knell for a lot of big companies that have sunk enormous amounts of money into these games, because if you remove that system from the game and you punish those people, the creators of those games, by removing their ability to continue to make these things and make these products, you will have a whole bunch of completely dead industries. Industry companies, big industry giants within the games universe are going to crash and burn because they don't know how to adjust. It takes a big company. It takes them years to learn how to adjust to a new market. And we see this with battle royales and MOBAs and stuff like that. How many times has a new gaming sensation or fad come along, and the new companies are so slow that it takes them years to put out a new game that's even close to that, and most of the time they miss the bus. Or they realize that they've gotten onto the wrong bus with an older system or an older game, an older flash in the pan, and they're running down the corridor in the opposite direction on the train that is the game that they just launched. Which, by the way, doesn't help you get away from where the train is going. So,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is huge. This is big. Again, it's not this particular lawsuit. It's just the conglomeration of all of them that are starting to show up.
Well, there does appear to be a growing pressure on them, and this mess that they've made their own bet on this one, and they can
Because again, and I don't believe, like, it's so weird that I have to say this. It's so weird that I have to give this advice to 50-year-olds in the stock industry. That I have to give this information to generals who run weapons contracting things. I mean, if I did, I could. And that is, don't. It's a really. This is ancient wisdom, guys. Ancient wisdom. This wisdom is from a time. I think it dates back to Atlantis. It's super rare. The information is truly like. This is truly one of the best pieces of advice you will ever get. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. I know, shocking. Just shocking.
But what if you only got one egg? Never mind.
Or one basket.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so they put a lot into this. They've invested a lot into this kind of a scheme, and I mean, not only them, but they're definitely one of the biggest culprits.
Yeah. So this is very dangerous for them. They know that they're starting to tread on thin ice. The ice is getting thinner, and I don't know if they are prepared to make an adjustment, because you think of all of the energy that they have, all the people that they've let go, and all the specialty skills that they've developed. If you remove this feature, suddenly you have a lot of studios that aren't going to be able to produce something very good, because what do you replace that feature with? Like, you got to have something that's got to clue people in and get them hooked and get them gaming or something, and we'll see. Some of the companies, I'm sure they'll adjust just fine, but it depends on the individual leaders that they have there. And EA has kind of been a little bit of a specialty company. Now, their recent kerfuffle with BioWare and almost losing that company has really shaken some foundations there. And then there was the whole Battlefront thing, that the guy who was behind that, the guy who was like screw you, right? That guy, sorry, I think that was Battlefield. Anyways, whatever. Both of those things. That's the point. Both of those things were a disaster. But the one Battlefield thing, that was a real disaster. And I've said that time and time again. It's not because they tried to change the history of the world. You could have done that in a game in a game IP that they already own called Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer was all about different realities of World War II and the Cold War. I mean, that's what the game was founded on, was somebody went back in time and altered the timeline, and we ended up getting a completely different world war. And this is it's so amazing that they didn't look at that and say, hey, here's a brilliant idea. Let's use an existing IP that we own to relaunch another IP and see if it's interesting. And then we can throw all kinds of crazy cosmetics and styles and technology, and we can have a whole bunch of different stuff that would really change the game as far as the genre of Battlefield goes. But instead of doing that, they went, hey, what's a good idea on how to do this? Well, think of a way that you could ruin it the best way possible and then just blame the fans. Because again, it wasn't the customization, it wasn't the options, it wasn't taking it in a completely new direction, because they were sitting on a thing that could already do that. It was, no, let's just insult the fan base. So, okay, good job, guys. So, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, that was a colossal stupidity engine. And again, a lot of those people that were making those decisions, a fair number of them have been fired or have moved on or have been told, hey, why don't you take a bonus and leave? Because they're starting to realize, and they're starting to get pressure from their stockholders saying, no, you're not going to start giving these people money, because we see where you are. We can read the news. You're posting profits this year, but there's no guarantee that's going to be around next year because of your incompetency. So, yeah. Grow up.
That is right. They did just try, the executives at the company tried to give themselves massive raises, and that was voted down. Anyway, we should move on from that. Just get on to some of the other news. But indeed, getting some good advice from the chat, though. If I only have one egg, I don't need a basket. Well, thank you, double asterisks. Yes, Time Bean, it's an excellent existential question. The egg puns are just, I'm over my head with the egg puns. All right, so quickly on the Cyberpunk front, tomorrow is 91 days to release, and as you may or may not know, the last 2 delays were announced exactly 91 days before the predicted release date. So a lot of people are on edge, just waiting to see what's going to happen. And there's reasons for that, isn't there? Like, there's something about the 90-day mark.
90 days, you're basically like, once you pass the 90-day thing,
you're kind of locked in as far as...
Yeah, you're locked in as far as like distribution and a bunch of other things. Something that I do want to point out, though, is that the that it's more or less like, it's hard locking yourself in, but the reason why they have to announce the delay then instead of like waiting a little bit later to announce it is because the distributors and a bunch of other people in the industry, they all know, like they know right away whether you're shipping it or not. And say you are having a delay and you decide not to announce it before the 90-day thing and you wait until like a month too. It's been 2 months since a lot of people in the industry know very well that you're not shipping it. And that creates a lot of negative rumors, and then you have to come out and confirm that the rumors are true at some point, and up until that point that you've done that, you've been just sitting there denying those rumors, and it's really, really bad for the company. It is really bad for you. It is really bad for a lot of things, and it is just very, very bad decision making to not announce that proper, like when you know it, when you're 100% on it. It's like just to go ahead and announce it because you have to. Trying to hide it is not good. So that's why they have announced it the 91-day period before. However, we do have a wonderful trick that we're using this time to ensure that the game will not be delayed. And that is some black magic. Yes.
Yes, it's where everyone should turn.
I announced this on Twitter. Yeah, I announced this on Twitter. It's great, guys. We got black magic. It's fine. It's fine. It's gonna be great.
You did, hey? Well, there's actually I can't tell if you're serious or not, but there's actually a news article I'm looking at right now about Cyberpunk fans, obviously kind of as a joke, but they're performing dark rituals just to make sure that the game isn't delayed again. So, invoking the dark powers to make sure it doesn't get delayed. So.
Clearly, witchy stuff is in right now.
Right, yeah. I use Wikipedia all the time.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, and then I think that's all. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, people are trolling with some fake, those yellow placards that CD Projekt Red puts out to announce their delays or other things, where they always have official messages from the company on those yellow backgrounds with the CD Projekt logo, etc., etc., etc. People are making like mock-ups of those. One I saw was like an ASCII guy doing a shrug, like, I don't know what's happening. And then another one, the text was really, really small, and I zoomed into it, and it was just all the words of never gonna give you up. So I got that's the first time I've been visually rickrolled. So kudos. I enjoy a good rickroll, as a lot of you know. Yeah, people roll their eyes at me, but I maintain that the rickroll is still funny. It's still funny in 2020. But let's get on to talking about Baldur's Gate 3. So, the panel from Hell happened yesterday, and that was an online live stream with creative director of the game, Sven Vinke, who wore a suit of armor and could barely move through the whole thing. And I don't know what possessed him to do that or who put him up to it, but he did not look comfortable by about halfway through or close to the end of the live stream. He was looking pretty warm and pretty uncomfortable. But he stuck through it and probably really had to go to the bathroom after that. Then it also had Jeff Keighley hosted. Also taking part were Wizard of the Coast's Chris Perkins and Adam Smith, who is a writer at Larian. He's one of the senior writers, or the senior writer at Larian Studios, who is making the game. So some interesting information came out of that. First of all, we have the early access release date, and that is September 30th. So they were aiming originally for August. Of course, they said they were aiming for August for the early access release originally, but they have now announced, of course, that it is September 30th, and they're pretty confident in that. So that's when we'll get to try out the game, for ourselves, and it'll have the entire first act of the game, and it's going to have a lot of stuff, actually. So at launch, we're going to have access to 5 different characters, or 5 different origin characters. Asterion, the elf vampire rogue. Gale, a human wizard. Lae'zel, the Githyanki warrior, who is on the thumbnail today. Shadowheart, a half-elf cleric. And Will, the human warlock. More characters will be announced throughout early access. Apparently they're going to be adding stuff. And there's some comparative stats we could look at, because Larian did this previously with Divinity Original Sin 2. And we actually have some numbers on how big the early access area is compared to Divinity Original Sin 2. So in the Divinity Original Sin 2 early access, there were 22 combat encounters. In Baldur's Gate 3 early access, there's going to be 80. So almost 4 times as much in terms of the number of combat encounters, and more than double the voice lines. There was 17,600 in DOS 2 early access, almost 46,000 in Baldur's Gate 3 early access. And then, again, the character count, almost 600 characters in Baldur's Gate 3 versus 142 in Divinity Original Sin 2. And then the number of spells and actions you can do, 146 for Baldur's Gate 3. There was only 69 in Divinity Original Sin 2. So all of these stats are more than doubled in Baldur's Gate versus Divinity Original Sin, and in some cases, well more than doubled. Like, it's almost 4 times as many combat encounters. And that's just to be clear, we're comparing just the early access there. Okay, this does not reflect the size of the game in total.
No,
but this is just
the game now. Divinity is obviously massive now in comparison to that early access point. And I really like the way that they do this, because they take the first chapter, the first act, and they encapsulate that. And they give you this story that kind of pulls you in. You're able to play through it. You're able to get a really good idea of what you're doing, where you're going, all of that stuff. It's like this is a good system of feedback and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so I think that this is really something that is quite positive, and we're seeing some considerable planning in this, and of course expansion, because we've gotten so much bigger now. Like you said, it was this is almost doubled, in some cases tripled, from what they had done before to what they're doing now. And this is just the beginning. By the end of the early access, when the game actually fully launches, there's going to be so much more there. And the biggest announcement, I am so happy to say this, they're going to have multiplayer from the get-go.
In the early access,
This is not the full on. This is the co-op multiplayer, not the pre-set like world building GM early access or multiplayer that they're going to have in eventually. Where I've talked a lot about this in the past of what they're doing with that, and they are a ways away from giving us that. The ability for people to play like really basically just tabletop adventures before was really well done in Divinity, but now in this one we're going to see so much more expanded on this. But we still don't know when that whole kit is coming, because that typically ships with the full game. So that shipped with the full game before, and then they added a whole bunch of stuff to it during the updates and the DLCs and the expansions and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting.
Okay.
Really,
absolutely, and we'll talk more about the multiplayer in just a minute here.
Mm-hmm.
But a few more details about early access. You'll be exploring the worlds of Avernus, the first layer of Hell, Faerun, the fictional land that is central to Dungeons and Dragons lore, and the Underdark. So those things, those three areas will be available in early access. Obviously, lots more available in the full game when that comes out. You'll be able to get up to level 4 in early access, which now I don't know if it says here in the article I'm reading. It says that that's actually substantially high for D&D. Is that true? I know the entire game is capped at 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Typically, the typical high cap is 20.
Okay. For a D&D
so
game.
For like a long campaign-ish, there are expansions that's where the basic game is more or less cut off.
Okay.
Or has been traditionally quite extensively. Like Neverwinter Nights and a couple other games were all capped off at 20.
Yeah, so
leveling up is pretty big in those games because there's so few of them. And during a tabletop thing, I mean, during a big long session, you might only level up once, and you might only and I'm kind of like, it'll be interesting to see how they do the other ways around this. So like multi-classing or some unique species have their experience is really low. Their gain is really, really low. So you have to do so much more to get them up to that same level because they're more of a power trade-off. So I don't know if they're going to be handling that or how they're going to be handling that. So
right, yeah. So
it'll be interesting. Yeah.
A lot of folks are saying in the chat, yeah, it's usually up to 20, but I had read that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be capped at 10. Somebody.
Yeah. Initially, I think they're leaving themselves significantly open for expansions and stuff. And I am so thankful for this because I really hate one of the things that I hated the most about one of it was the Star Wars, or not Star Wars, it was a Star Trek game, the Star Trek MMO. It's like in 15-20 hours you became an admiral, and then for the next 7 years or however long it's been, 8, 12, 10 years, I don't know, you went up from admiral to other versions of admiral. It's like, guys, you're an idiot.
They didn't really leave them.
You should have capped off your first initial experience at maybe getting commander. And you don't have to be captain to pilot ships. That's been well established in the lore. You don't necessarily have to be, and you can get a temporary captaincy or captain position while your rank is still quite low. I mean, this has happened quite a bit in the Star Wars universe itself. So, and it was just such poor design. It's like, ugh. Yeah, it's a really poor design. So,
right. But in any case, yes, you're right. It does seem like they're leaving themselves a lot of room to grow there. Probably going to be expansions where they expand your level cap if the game does well.
Yep.
Would imagine. All right, let's
Yeah,
talk
and
more
that's-
about the multiplayer though, because I have a lot of questions about that, and so does our associate Jamie. Also sent me a bunch of questions just before we started here, so I'm going to ask some of those as well. So you said that the early access multiplayer is only going to be co-op, so like that's going through the main story co-op, you and your friend, each controlling different characters, kind of thing. Is that
yeah, so
yeah.
you basically like hard switch in as one of the characters in the group, and I'm not sure exactly how they're going to handle it, whether it's going to be a drop in drop out invite thing, whether you're going to be like working from like whether each round or each time you start up a game, is it you have to play with that person from the beginning? Can you bring in a player to join in and just take control of one of your characters from like a save point that you have just randomly? A lot of that's going to be more or less up in the air. Yeah, a lot of that'll be really up in the air. So we'll see when it comes to that. But oh, sorry, I meant to mention on the character creation. I do believe that we are going to have character creation, and you're going to be able to do that. So that if you're not wanting to play one of the preset characters and just have those preset characters as actual like like companion characters, you can still do that. So that does appear to be something that they've set up there. So yeah.
Yeah, right on. And so like it is a short chunk of the game. Well, I don't know. We don't know how long it's going to be time-wise. But it is only part of the game. It's only the first part of the game. But you'll have the opportunity to explore a lot of different characters if you want to, a lot of different types of builds before you get the full game. Of course, some are saying they'll wait for the full game. That's totally fine too. Whatever each person wants to do. But I think there's a lot of people excited for the early access. Now, when we talk about the multiplayer and what the multiplayer is going to look like in the full game, what is it going to look like? So, JB was asking, is it going to be online multiplayer or just local? I imagine it's. I doubt it would just be local. That doesn't seem to make sense. But how many players can you get into a campaign, do you think?
So for the moment, I think they're kind of sitting at a 4. There's a good chance that they're going to have. There's a good chance that they're going to have more. So it'll kind of depend. They'll be like, we're not 100% on that because we don't know what the modders will be able to open up. Originally, I think in like Neverwinter Nights, it was like capped off at like 16, but people found ways of like stringing servers together to create worlds that could hold hundreds of people at a time. So it's kind of it's kind of based off the same generalized tech. So the options and generalities are quite open to interpretation for now. So we'll see where it goes in the future. So.
But you'll have, so if I understand correctly, you'll have your players who control, a character much like they do in the normal, in the normal campaign version of the game. But you'll also have a GM. Like a tabletop. Like tabletop D&D, and so the GM will be. They'll be able to control stuff in the world. I'm guessing they'll be able to. Are they going to like read out bits of the story to you as you go? Like, is this the kind of thing where you'll all be on voice and on like voice chat and all doing your thing?
Yeah.
So
and like I said, this is why I'm most excited for this game, because we are getting finally like essentially the holy grail of multiplayer tabletop games or platforms for games, because there is no platform. If you want to say like, hey, we want to play some D&D, your options are extraordinarily limited. Like really limited.
So
right now,
how confident are you that Larian's going to hit that goal of really emulating a tabletop experience, just having that such a degree of freedom that it almost matches the tabletop experience.
It'll depend a little bit on Larian. It'll also depend a little bit on modders. So the depth of like how much control and how much options you get and how many things you could do, because they're committed to the plan of giving us the keys to be able to like create whatever we want, and that's the smartest goal for them, because if you do it correctly, D&D and tabletop RPG games are making a huge resurgence right now, and they're becoming incredibly popular. And having the ability to just do it on the fly in a big group of people, to be able to have that interaction of like sitting around a table essentially, but then also being able to have that play out in a world that's like right there available to you, that you're connected to, that you can take it turn by turn or roll by roll, dice roll by dice roll, essentially, then I mean that really opens up a massive probability of making this absolutely work and absolutely become perfect. So, oof, yeah.
It sounds fantastic. I think that like. I can't think of any other questions about the multiplayer. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, we'll have to wait and see. But it does sound exciting. And do either of you have any final thoughts? We're only halfway through our time, and I don't think we're going to spend half an hour talking about Vampire Bloodlines 2, or Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. What a ridiculously long name for a video game. But anyway. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
Go ahead, man.
With all the audio and extras that they added, like I'm just excited to explore, really.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff, and we need to talk about some of the other stuff from the panel from Hell. We didn't talk about the lobotomy. Sai, why don't you give us your thoughts on that particular part of what we saw?
So they've added a new companion to the game.
Well, it's not a full-on companion; it's a follower. There's a difference.
It's a follower, yes. There's a difference.
But there is apparently a movement within the company to turn it into a companion.
Yes, yeah, because everybody's fallen in love with this, and I mean, don't you all just wish that you could just like, crack open somebody's head and extract their brain and just have that brain just like follow you around everywhere and just be your little buddy and like act like a dog and a cute thingy, and it's like hey little brainy boy, you're such a good brainy boy, yes, you're such a good brainy boy. Oh, did you poo blood on the couch
geez,
again,
dude? Why?
That's what I think when I look at this now. I mean, I've been like, the whole tadpole thing in the head has been like, I mean, we've got some art coming up for that. Moon's working on some really funny, beautiful art about your friendly little tadpole in your brain who's trying to eat your brain and also burn away your soul at the same time. He's just a cute, he just wants to be friends. And I mean, I was okay with that. But then they brought out the brain. And I'm like
So it's so it's a creature called an intellect devourer that is, I guess, it's like inserted into this character's brain or something. So the main character comes along and finds this guy with the top of his skull cut off. And the brain is like starts talking to her, and anyway, she pulls it out of the dude's head. It's very gross, actually. It's kind of disturbing to watch.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then it sprouts like tentacles and things to walk around on, and it's it follows you around.
Adorable.
I bet you could make an adorable version of it, Moon.
Probably.
In fact, yeah. I bet that would make a good Valentine. But yeah, it's interesting, and what was especially interesting about it was that Sven told us that it didn't even exist 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had, they just had an object in the world that one of their designers went and made interactable, and then someone else went in and made that interactable object into a follower. Somehow they came up with that brain character and did all those voices and made that cutscene in a couple of weeks. That's kind of mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So they must, that's kind of mind-blowing. It's just really interesting, and it shows what they can accomplish in a short amount of time to just, iterate on what they've already got in the game. I fear I've maybe inspired some more Time Being fan art or fan fiction. Which, by the way, you can read if you want on the Triple S League Discord server. This is a good time to plug that. We love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, we welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S community members about all the things we love to talk about. Stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Find people to game with. There's people live streaming games in the server quite frequently. There's a group that gets together to play Quiplash once a week. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sure that there's going to be lots of people there wanting to play Baldur's Gate 3. But there's also things going on, like our user and mod Time Being has an ongoing series of Mario Brothers fan fiction that I inadvertently inspired by something I said on this very podcast. So I guess I get partial blame for that one, but it's very funny. And lots of folks, there's all kinds of awesome stuff going on. Check it out. It's worthwhile. We're working hard to keep it a fun, active, and really positive place with a lot of creativity and a lot of fun stuff going on. And we're all there. You can talk to Cyb or myself or Moontag. We're there quite regularly.
That's right.
So, I'm not going to read that last message from Timing. Just caught that out of the corner of my eye. All right, but yeah, so that was really interesting. And then we saw another cutscene of I don't know what they were like. Let's throw the most disturbing cutscenes that into this live stream. Let's people have been dying to see more of our game. Let's gross them out. So there's another cutscene of the main character kissing some goblin's feet. And is it a goblin? Am I getting the species right there? Anyway, so yeah, he's kissing this goblin's feet, and you have a dialogue choice to make at the same time, or not a dialogue choice, but a choice. I can't remember I can't remember what the first two options are, but one of the options is like kiss the foot and try to steal the ring off the toe, and then it does a roll to see if you succeed. But while that's happening, there was some serious mouth on foot action happening with sound effects, and it was kind of disturbing.
Little disturbing, but I mean this is the fun of a D&D universe, because this kind of craziness is what the whole thing is designed to give you.
Yeah.
And I just really hope that I really hope that Wizards of the Coast don't screw this up.
Yeah, and anyway, so you failed the stealth check or the skill check or whatever it was in the video, like in the cutscene that they showed during the live stream. They failed the roll, and so the goblin thing realized you were trying to steal his ring.
He always fails those rolls. It's ridiculous how much he fails them.
Lady Reaver wants me to tell more. Oh well, I could describe in detail the texture of the feet and just how he worked his tongue as he was doing that, but
Stop.
we just don't have time. We just don't have time. So well, hey, you grossed me out earlier. I get to take my revenge. Okay. Yeah. it's if you're interested in more details, you can watch the entire live stream on Larian Studios YouTube channel. It was, I mean, I'll be honest, the discussion was kind of bland. There was some good information to be had, but Jeff Keighley looked like he was falling asleep, and Sven Vinke just looked uncomfortable. And I don't know if he's just got a humongous head or he got squished into a suit of armor that was very, very small.
I think he got squished into the armor, and I think it was propped up because he couldn't move.
Yeah. He could
Like he really couldn't move, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, at first I thought he was a floating head, like, put there by special effects, because it looked like such a mismatch, but then I realized, oh, you can actually see the reflection of his head in the armor, and so he was actually sitting in an environment they had constructed, so it was really interesting. But anyway, I had a good time, though I think the most fun part about that was hanging out with, several of our active members on the Discord server in the Watch Together room. That's another thing you can do there, so really plug in the Discord today. It's a fun place, it really is. Shua, thank you so much for the super chat. Shua gives us the super chat to never talking about sucking goblin feet again. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll do our best to never talking about sucking goblin feet again. I don't know why every letter in never is capitalized except for the R. Is there some secret code there? Does it mean, well, not really never? Does this actually mean no, please tell us more? Thank you so much, Shua. Shua's a great guy. He's one of our really active member on our Discord, and does some voice acting and stuff for us from time to time. And also, he has done he's done audio reads of Time Beans fan fiction. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on that I was never I would never have expected when we started this and started up the Discord server. I had no idea what was going to come of it, and I regret almost none of it. Okay, so let's get on to our final story about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. So wait. One more thing about Baldur's Gate. So we've got some more information about the romance in the game. And so in an interview with VG247, Adam Smith, the senior writer that I mentioned earlier, he explained that they're looking to create complex relationships with the help of Dungeons and Dragons lore to mess with the player's heartstrings. So, for example, he said Lyselle is the Githyanki, and Githyanki don't really do monogamy. So if you wind up with feelings for her, and, have a special night together, well, you might just actually find her having a special night with somebody else the next night. That's just their culture. So,
I think there's a Mongol tribe. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. There's a Mongol tribe that does the same thing, and I mean it's worked for them for like 1,000 years. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I like it when they think outside the box on this stuff.
But then there's also he gives another tricky example of managing relationships, and that's if you're a vampiric character and you can feed on sleeping party members. If you're desperate or need a top up on on your intake, as it were, you may have to pass a wisdom skill check to stop yourself from overfeeding and killing them. And then the next morning after even if you don't kill them, the next day they'll feel worn down while you're on top of the world. And so that can cause conversations and relationships to take a much different path than if you just kept your fangs in your pants, according to that's the wording in this article. That's funny. But they hope to create more complex relationships, and it's not so it doesn't feel like sleeping together is just like some reward, like a nice gift because you picked the right dialogue options. So they want to make it more, deeper and more realistic. They want to have jealousy, they want to have joy in it, but they don't want it to be a case of, you brought me the gift I like the most, so you got plus 50 affection. So I think that's interesting.
I don't know if you know, but this is not how relationships work.
I know that. I'm pretty sure you know that.
I just found this out recently. Yeah, there's no point system.
Well, that's yeah, and I'm glad I figured you figured that out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is correct, right, Moontag? There's no point system to this. It's
Just, you know, a mental tally of a feeling.
a mental. So how's one supposed to quantify it? And yeah,
That's how I quantify it. It's a feeling. It's kind of like, you know, the first time you see someone who just makes your heart go ba-dump, ba-dump, and your brain goes ding, ding, ding. Yep.
My brain doesn't make noise, and if it ever did, I'd probably check in with a psychologist. But I think I see what you're saying. All right. So, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. All right. How many times am I going to have to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Just 1 second here. All right, so Brian Mitsoda, the narrative lead for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, has been suddenly terminated from his position at the game. And this actually happened last month. This actually happened in July, but it's only hitting the news cycle now. And this is the surprised side, because I mentioned this to him today, and you had heard rumors about this like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, there's been. I mean, it hasn't been the smoothest run putting this game out.
Mm-hmm.
They have had some issues, and yeah, this did happen a little while ago. I hope that it's not a problem. I hope that it's not I hope that it's not a big problem. Obviously, it is a problem. Whenever you fire somebody, generally that's a problem. Whenever you fire somebody who's big and important at the company, obviously something is definitely going wrong there. So I'm hoping, really hoping, that for whatever reason things kind of work out, and that this isn't terribly bad. Um, yeah, it's I mean, it's obviously a big hit to their team putting the game out. You do wonder if that had something to do with all the delays that they have had. And again, it's just, I feel, the last Vampire Masquerade came out at a really bad time. If it had come out 8 months earlier or 8 months later, probably would have done really, really well. But in this case, I wonder if we're going to see the same thing again, and I'm a little worried about it. I hope not, but we'll see.
Right. It did get delayed into 2021. That was just announced last week.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about it is, so Brian Mitsoda, he was a lead writer on the original game, which was done by Troika Games, and now he was working on this game at Hardsuit Labs. What could have led to this? Because also creative director Kai Clooney was also canned. I don't know when that happened or any details behind that. But you got these two people who are, they're fairly high up in the chain as far as, a narrative lead and creative director. Those aren't small positions when you're dealing with game development, but it was jointly announced by Paradox and Hardsuit Labs that these two people are no longer part of the team working on this game. And this just, it seems like that, combined that with the fact that you've got these delays and just rumors of difficult development, it makes me think the game's in trouble.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll... Yeah. But really, we don't know anything about, we know nothing official about why these people got removed from the project.
Yeah, and it could be that they're running out of money. It could be that they're running out of money. I have been worried about that for a while, and I'm really hoping that things are not going bad there.
Yeah.
Um, but it is definitely concerning. So this is something that we hope doesn't affect it in the long run. I hope nobody got fired um, for no just cause, and I hope that if it was a just cause, that hopefully it was done fairly and justly, and that people can, and people learn and can grow, and I hope that's a good thing. But I am also worried about it being, maybe it was just a corporate thing to save money, because they might be in trouble financially. I can't confirm that. All I can say is that there is a small potential for that from things that I've been hearing. So
Mhm.
I hope not, and I hope that they can get the game out and that it's good. Um, because yeah, a lot of people really like this game, and I like the design, and I like where they're going with that. I really, really do wish that they had managed to, you know, just get this. I wish they had managed to get this out like a couple months ago. Like if they had managed to stick to their early 2020, probably would have been the best thing for them. But unfortunately, yeah.
Right. Bizarre choice. Especially he was also one of the PR faces for the
Mhm.
game. So he, in a statement to Rock Paper Shotgun, says that this was very sudden and came as a shock to
Mhm.
him.
Yeah. So this
He
this is why I believe that it's financial.
Yeah. So not
Yeah.
much more to say about that. We don't know any details. It's kind of pointless to speculate, but that's what's happening. We'll have to keep our eye on that game, see if that, you know, see if it looks like things are going rocky, or if they're actually going to pull a good game out of it. And hope it's not. I mean, I hope it's not creative differences or something like that at this late stage of the game. Would be probably pretty devastating if they're trying to change things at this point for the story or anything like that. That would just be crazy.
Yeah.
Unless they're planning to delay it 2 more years, which, I mean, would also be crazy. Anyway, that's all the topics that we had for today. We're running a little early today, so
Yeah. Well, not really. We're almost at an hour. Uh, so we're gonna be doing. We'll just briefly talk about our streaming schedule. We're going to be doing a lot more streaming this year. We've got a lot of games. Everything from Moon is going to be running a bunch of different things. We got probably Fall Guys if you're interested in that. Like, let us know. It's really cute. It's remember Ash, remember about last year I was talking about the like how Civ had done a battle royale game, and we were talking about the potential for Cyberpunk to do a battle royale game, and I said I really hope not, because I don't want another shooter battle royale game. What I want is a battle royale game that is not like every other dang battle royale game that we've already had, which has been, just copy and paste essentially. Some minor differences here and there, maybe some major differences in the idea of like building versus no building, but like the survival concept, it's all been done before. This and the Civ thing was like really new takes on the battle royale concept, and I'm really excited to see where this goes in the future, because it looks great. I think this is the first battle royale game that I've actually stopped to take a look at and went, interesting. Yes, interesting.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
adorable and it looks hilarious.
yeah.
You control these little creatures running around in massive group. You're trying to be the last one standing on these just crazy obstacle
It's
courses and
basically it's
things.
basically like the Lemmings, right? Like, but playing as an actual lemming in a harrowing mission where you're likely to die. It's like this is a great concept. I like
Yeah,
the concept.
I haven't looked into it enough to know if there's actual objectives or if you're just trying to survive. I know there's a bunch of different
It's
game
just
modes.
rounds. Yeah, there's rounds of different game modes, and you just progress up the ladder until you're the last one.
I mean, it
standing.
looks hilarious. It looks like a super good time.
I really like this concept. I'm excited to see more of it. That's one. We've got the we have the what do you call it? Humankind. Humankind is headed up soon. We've got World of Warcraft with the Shadowlands expansion. Again, we're not going to be hitting it like super hard. We have some very, very exciting, very big news coming about that. There is a reason why I'm saying, hey, we're going to start doing some WoW content. It's not because I got bored one day and I said, hey, let's do this. There's an actual legitimate reason for it, and it's pretty cool and it's pretty awesome. And it includes some potentially some really, 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 really big, amazing guests. So this is very exciting. Again, I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea. Definitely something to give a shot, though, because things are really changing within the game. Not right now, but once the new pre-patch goes live, then things are going to get really interesting. And also, the main reason for it is because I want a really good community game that we can play quite casually. And I mean it. We're looking to do some events that are 100% casual, like 100% casual, which means that you don't need a subscription to do some of the events that we're thinking of. You just have to download the game and play with a trial account. And we're going to do some events and some stuff to kind of like to kind of do stuff. And sometimes it'll be just for fun and it'll be ridiculous. Other times, of course, we're going to be doing like raiding and group runs and stuff like that too. So if you're interested in it, it's not going to be like we're not going to be pouring 40 hours a week into it. We're just going to be playing it quite casually for fun. Grounded is another good idea. If you're interested in that one, let us know. And then it's going to be a busy, and of course, for Baldur's Gate 3. And of course, Cyberpunk, right? Obviously, Cyberpunk. We're going to be doing a ton of that.
Well, we're going to be doing a ton of Cyberpunk, and eventually, when that multiplayer comes out, which we don't know what that's going to look like yet, but that is coming at some point in the future. Lots going to be happening this year. Lady Reaver's asking, will you make announcements for streams? Absolutely, we'll make announcements for streams, and we'll set up something if Cyber or Moon are planning events to do. We'll set up some kind of a way of announcing or scheduling that. We're still working some of this stuff out, but we love, like I said, I mean, I've talked a lot about the Discord community today. I love what I see happening there. I love it when, I log on and see 12 people just sitting in the voice rooms hanging out. And sometimes somebody streams, sometimes sometimes not. Sometimes you're all just hanging out, doing whatever, talking. It's great to see. It's fantastic. And something I didn't see coming when we started this. So really appreciate all of you who have made that community what it is. And with that, we'll wrap up the show for today. So thank you so much, everybody, for the great conversation in the chat and for supporting the show by listening live or after the fact. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. We really appreciate that if you would do that. And also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that stuff if you want to be notified of YouTube content from us. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters and channel members who help to make this content possible. Our big game heroes on Patreon, Robin, Shua82, Timebean, Schoolaman, Lady Reaver, our 2 anonymous supporters at that level. And our channel members on YouTube, Mr. Pazdernick, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, Terror K, Somnolence, and _Ledon. Thank you all so much. If you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we appreciate your interactions there as well. And don't forget, you can check out the live show on YouTube Wednesdays and Saturdays. See the Discord server for the exact times and schedules. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash on behalf of Cyb and Moontag. Thank you all so much for listening. Talk to you again very soon.